This is Horizon Forbidden West. We're here on PlayStation 5 taking a look at this absolutely stunning next generation showcase of just really what the PlayStation 5 can do. So this is the second adventure for Aloy, where she is going out and facing off against these machines, these various creatures that have now basically taken over and roam the earth, whereas humanity has become more tribal-like, as you can tell with this very awesome shark barracuda-like outfit that I've got going on. But we'll talk more about the story and the technology and everything behind this great game right now. So we're taking a look at what we have. There's photo mode, which is kind of cool, but you go to the settings and we have two visual options. We have favor performance and we have favor resolution. So when we go to favor resolution, there's also HDR support. What we're getting here is a native 4K 30 FPS experience, which is stunning. The visuals are absolutely incredible in this game, no matter which option you go for. But if you want a very pristine, high fidelity experience, 4K 30 looks fantastic. And again, the native application of it, which is great. Now, for me, and the experience that I played, the vast majority of the game with, was the favor performance, which you are getting a checkerboarded dynamic, and I think both of them are dynamic to a degree, a dynamic checkerboarded 1800p at 60 FPS. So for me, fluidity is a big thing in games. I really do love having, that frame rate be present. It's really, personal choice in that regard, but I think it's a fantastic thing. Just like I think liking the video is fantastic, as is subscribing if you would like to. So with that, we have a visual technical showcase. From the original advertising, you would think that this game takes place in San Francisco, but that's only a very small portion of the experience. You actually get to see places such as like the remnants of Vegas or some of the area that you've already seen from the previous game. Now, you don't have to have played the first game to jump into this. They have a good summary for it, but I do think you get a more understanding of her journey if you do play both of the games. But if you jump in here as your first experience, I think this is a really great game. It's beautiful, and it's a near perfect offering that takes advantage of PlayStation technology, from the sounds coming through your controller to basically the responsive elements of the DualSense. It's really quite interesting and a very near perfect experience. I really, you could sit here, you could look for a flaw or two, but really the story is fantastic. It's got a great journey for the different characters that are present. It's just a very well done, interesting, and unique offering that expands upon the concepts of the first one. You may be like, oh, it's essentially the same, and that's kind of a fair thing to be like, hey, it's very similar gameplay-wise, it's about the same. But they did evolve, a lot of the mechanics, a lot of the elements of gameplay to make this an even more fulfilling and well-done experience. The story is mostly built around the idea of bringing Gaia back to life so that we can actually have proper terraforming on the planet. There is a mysterious force that is present that is causing problems, alongside having to deal with the tribes that make up this expansive and really just generally gorgeous game. For the most part, you'll notice no popping in the environment, but if you're flying, you're probably going to notice a bit of that. But I have to show off the flying because it's just simply stunning. And that's a lot of the game, from cutscenes to regular gameplay movements and moments. This game is beautiful. The hidden surprises constantly had me thinking, what's next? Where are we going with this? What's going to happen? Coming up with predictions. And that's something I really quite love about a game, is sitting there and trying to come up with, being engaged by it enough to be like, okay, what's going to happen next? What am I working towards? And it's just, this game really hit the mark for me. Now, some of the plot elements, you could kind of be like, oh, that's a bit odd or something like that. But, again, it's just like a small thing where I'm like, overall, I had a great time with this. I thought it was a lot of fun. I played the majority of this experience on the normal difficulty, But I do want to mention that after some really long streaming hours, I think it was like 8 hours the second stream I worked at this, I was pretty tired, and the end boss was just absolutely brutal in a difficulty increase, so I did have to drop it down to easy just for the last boss fight. And I thought I'd be honest and just mention it, because this game does have some moments where there does feel like a little bit of an artificial increase in some of the difficulty. So it does, kind of ask you to grind things out, but I don't think you should ever really have to. You'll be able to, if you're decently skilled, I think you can run through this game without too many problems. And just like some of the boss fights might give you a little bit of trouble, but they give you more than enough resources and tools to handle the tasks that are present. And you get a bunch of different weapons and setups that you can use. There's also elements of stealth play. Oh wow, what is going on there? And direct combat and different weapons you can take advantage of. Different tools for healing. There's skill trees that you're working through that will improve your character. You level up. There's inventory stuff, different outfits and materials. I did find it at times a little tiring that it was difficult to find stuff to get things. Like even if I wanted to buy something, I'd have to find something in order to, like, I guess you would say, be able to level something up. And I mean, that makes sense for what it is. Wow, that guy's got that gun thing. There was a neat addition of more like gunplay type scenarios as well. You can find some crazy weapons. And there's also, of course, as you would expect, some new like creature types that you have to fight while you're playing. And those were really quite engaging. I found it really, neat, the new things that are present. And that's just the controller making noises, because, that's always a neat aspect. Oh, geez. I am going to die. I think I have absolutely no health potions. So that's another problem, too, is, like, kind of getting my health potion thing. One sec. I want to see if I have any health potions on me that I can kind of throw in here. Yeah, there we go. So that's the problem, is like this hotkey menu you can't do in your like pause settings, so you got to be like smart within the environment to do that. But yeah, no, it really is a great experience. It's phenomenal. It's very well done. It's well designed. It's engaging. It's unique. The world here is fantastic. I love discovering things and just seeing like an application that's like, hey, this is what this would look like in the far future when there's all these problems and things that have, arisen. And then you could easily spend, 20 plus hours just doing side missions and side activities in different rebel camps and discovering new places. Like, the map is absolutely massive. And the level of, like, density within the environment is just simply stunning. I would be really hard-pressed to find too many games that have a similar level of, like, visual density within the flora. And it also seems like they've done some really great work in regards to overhauling some of the lighting of this game. I noticed that really, to me, shined up in comparison to even the first game. I thought it looks far more spectacular, and particularly, you look at the fidelity of like cinematics and cutscenes in this game, and they just look stunning. And I know the 4K 60 is kind of really, just would be the greatest, having like a native 4K 60. But if you go for the native 4K 30, the game looks just like absolutely insanely stunning. And I think even the checkboarding solution, while I typically like native applications for resolution, I think the checkerboarding really does look good here for the 4K 60. And I think it'll deliver you across your journey, giving you that fluidity level, but also a visual quality that looks fantastic and quite clear. It really, really is quite visually stunning. And you go through these like thick forests, you go through these snowy like tops and hills, and you go through desert, and you go through the beaches of San Francisco, and the loading is essentially instant throughout these experiences. At times I'd like set down the controller for a sec, but then it'd be like continue, and I'd be like, wow. And I think we'll get to a point, I'm assuming that we'll probably get a third one someday as well, probably like 5 years from now or so, where, we won't even have really loading screens. I would imagine that's very much like a cross-gen type of thing, why those even appear, because you're basically just like instantly pressing continue. And I think that's just absolutely fantastic. You have a really cool scanning tool for finding things, and the game is an exploration of the past. So if you're not familiar with Horizon Zero Dawn, which is the first game, what you're doing is you're essentially, you know, a character from another time, is the way I'll say it, without trying to spoil anything. You're a character of another time, and you're here trying to figure out the mysteries of the past. What happened to humanity? What's going on? And you do this by discovering the ruins of, you know, they're a more advanced humanity than we are, but, you know, the future and whatnot. And you're discovering what they left behind. There's tons of collectibles like data logs and video entries and hidden secrets for you to discover as you go about this environment, and resources to collect in order to craft things and make, you know, different tools. And you have all these different weapons, and they've added a lot of new like movement mechanics too, like pulling things down in order to open up new areas, new kind of traversal mechanics. You have the ability to fly, which is amazing. You can also have land mounts if you're not familiar with the series too, which are great. You know, those charge things are fantastic. And you can also, if you find specific materials, you are able to take those to your like home base, and you might be able to mount new creatures that you were never able to mount before, which is kind of fantastic and just utterly fascinating. Like I said, I really love what they were going for here, like just the aesthetic of like the robots and the humans. Like they've got this really neat tribal kind of thing going on, and then you look at the robots and they're like these functional creatures like dinosaur type things or regular creatures we'd see in a day-to-day, but they're robots, and you can highlight and target different parts of them in order to knock off like shielding or make explosions on the machines in order to damage them. And it's just utterly fascinating and well done. Like this whole game is just such a gorgeous effort and such a unique offering. It is most certainly something that is worth your time. And like I've been saying, a visual treat. Like it just really shows off what these next-gen consoles can do. And that's despite being, you know, a cross-gen type of experience, that it still has that, like, you know, visual glow to it that you don't see too many titles exhibit. And I tried to show off this area is a little bit more combat focused was the idea, just so that you can see a lot of the combat. Because, you know, a lot of this game, well, you know, is based on exploration. Combat is a big part of it, on how she deals with different scenarios, with different weapons and different tools. There's different traps, and you can, you know, give slices with your spear, and you take things over. And it's not just like humans. Most of the time you're actually fighting the robots that like roam this like location in this world, and it's just quite fascinating. It plays a lot like Tomb Raider, but in an open world experience, or a little bit similar to say something like Assassin's Creed, which is quite neat. But it definitely has its own style to it, and I think it's just a very well done experience that a lot of people will love. Like really just absolutely well done. I think almost some of the biggest things that I would say, like if you were saying anything, you know, not necessarily like super positive, would be like some story elements kind of left me wanting a little bit more, just in terms of like fan elements, kind of being like, oh, I kind of wanted to see this, or I kind of wanted to see this happen. But I still think the story and the overall game is just like a near perfect offering. It's this beautiful meld of gorgeous, seamless open world gameplay with high quality, high level storytelling. It's just completely fascinating to witness this sort of experience so early on and just be like, wow, this is such a treat. And I can't wait to see where this generation is going to take us. Now, is there like another enemy somewhere around here? Because there's this tribal things going on. It looks like we got some enemies hiding out there, so that's not great. Don't really want to deal with them. I was kind of hoping just to take over this place, but I guess we could show off some of the combat there. Oh, let's go and, I think this thing kind of damaged itself, so we can go and we can do the critical strike against it. Which is more of like, oh, really? Now it's back up? That's just a way to finish them off without them causing too many problems. Or is this like a three-way battle? I don't know if these things are like pals with this stuff, and it kind of looks like they might be. I actually don't know why there's these things are falling over, but I will take full advantage of that. But you can see on these creatures, like these different, you know, little portions that you can like shoot off like this big yellow canister, and you can damage them to a higher degree, and then you can do all kinds of crazy damage. I'm like a pretty like high, well, not like high level, but you know, I'm quite leveled over these things, so it's not hard for me to cause damage to them. But yeah, it's just like a really beautiful experience that you can visit and combat in so many unique ways, and it's a lot of fun. Like I said, my biggest thing is I love the setup for like the scenery and the world that they've kind of created here. There's so many neat things that go on, so many interesting challenges, so many different locations that are varied, and I also feel like I've almost, for me, just kind of scratched the surface of what if I had more time to do, like just unlimited visiting and exploration of places and hidden secrets and things that expand the scope of your story. And again, going back to the actual narrative, I would have liked one of the villain elements to have been a little bit expanded about, because they almost struck me as just like literally not having a whole lot of, you know, like depth to who they were. They were just kind of like monstrous figures, despite potentially being really fascinating from their initial premise. But like it's so hard to balance, because I'm like, I sound semi-negative in that regard, but I really do believe that this game is, you know, just a really gorgeous technical achievement that has a very well done story, great characters, great moments, excitement, action, stunning visuals with like these worlds that feel alive, that are dynamic, that change. It's just really, really well done. I think they've done a marvelous job with this, and I really do wonder where they'll go, you know, in the future, because for sure, you know, there's going to be more to this, I would imagine. This is just like that next step in our journey, but it is a really good one that does feel like a self-contained experience. I feel like there's supposed to be like a chest I'm getting. What is that? A prisoner. Rebel soldiers. A lot of rebel soldiers that are dead. Drawbridge. Okay, there's even more enemies over there? That is ridiculous. This is one of the new mechanics too, is you can kind of like... Oh, pullcaster won't work on that? Guess I just gotta shoot it. I was kind of excited because I was gonna be like, oh, you can like pull things down and stuff.
Let's see what these rebels are up to.
What are they up to? They're causing problems, that's for sure. These rebel camps are like a big kind of thing you can take part in and do. I thought this was like a perfect... Oh, they know I'm here. Showcase this stuff. But yeah, usually you can, you know, do a little bit more stealth play as well. My character is quite leveled up for some of the like charging things, because that might take a little bit longer for other players that haven't put skill points into that stuff. See how that shield got kind of taken away there pretty easily. And then you gotta like mix up your things. It's like, am I doing like direct stabs? Am I doing like hard hits? Am I doing like bow and arrow stuff? You do have to mix up your combative moves, otherwise you will die. But don't worry, cutscenes are, well, some of the boss fight cutscenes could have been a little bit better. They're a little bit brutal at times, but for the most part, not really complaining about this one. It's just a phenomenal experience. You will, if you enjoy it, you will just find yourself just utterly getting lost in what this has to offer. The secrets you'll find, the things you'll do, the adventures you'll have are just like amazing. A messaging device. A crude messaging device?
Loyal to Noct, hear me. I was told a soldier from this camp goaded one of the sons of Prometheus into an altercation.
Ooh, that's a cache right here. Is this? No, this is like our workstation, because there's all this crafting mechanics and stuff on this one.
We shall ride to glory.
Anyways, there's a whole listening thing, and then, you know, it's like a subplot stuff you have to figure out. But let's go and grab... I want the weapons cache and stuff. Where's this thing at? Weapons cache. Destroy the weapons cache. And what's this? It's trying to tell me to do stuff. Must be an old recording. Maybe we need this too. Some assembly required. Oh. So yeah, there's lots you can see, lots you can do, many armors you can collect, different outfits, different ways to improve your character across this expansive, exciting journey. And I think it is definitely something that you will find rewarding, engaging, exciting, and filled with a sense of mystery that will always want you to kind of go out and see new things, find new challenges, and I look forward to hopefully seeing some sort of expansion upon this, probably DLC-wise, in the future, and then eventually a third follow-up, I would imagine, and I am excited for that.